Yo, this is your boy JSF. Been a little bit since I made a video, but I just want to make a video talking about tier lists. I'm not going to make a tier list myself because this patch, this version of the game, has been out for a month and I honestly haven't played that much. I can probably tell you who's top tier, probably who's the worst in the game, but that's about it. Like, there's still a bunch of characters floating in the middle and like, I'm not sure where to put them, and a lot of people are just lumping them up in tiers and don't really care or know. But anyway, I just wanted to talk about tier lists, and specifically Mortal Kombat tier lists and NetherRealm tier lists, because I've played NetherRealm games like at least somewhat competitively since Injustice 1. Like, I've understood competitive gameplay and learned it. Didn't travel to tournaments until Injustice 2, but I've learned competitive gameplay. So that being the case, I know how people view tier lists in this community. I know how tier lists are made in this community, and most of them are wrong. The majority of people's tier lists you see are wrong. And not wrong in the sense that they're misleading you, but wrong in the sense of the approach they take. There are some people that are just incorrect who just don't know enough. There are other people that just do tier lists a certain way that doesn't reflect the actual game. It reflects what they see of the game. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, I have these two characters. I have Frost, who I play, who I believe is a low tier character, who I'm certain is a low tier character. Before the patch, the entire world agreed she was bottom 5. After the patch, it seems like most people have her anywhere from bottom 5, bottom 10, somewhere in the bottom 7 or 8 characters. And she's low tier. I don't know what else you want me to tell you. She's a low tier character. She got a buff. This is 11 frames. She got an 11 frame mid, but that was one of her problems, that she didn't have a fast mid. She couldn't punish. She couldn't really challenge. But that alone wasn't why the character was low tier. There's still a bunch of problems that this character has. She's still the slowest character in the game in terms of movement, in terms of buttons and like recovery and startup. She's still the slowest character in the game. Like, that's not my opinion, that's a fact. So I just wanted to get that out there before anybody says, no, Frost is good, what are you talking about? She's super strong. I just wanted to get that out there. Then we have who people think is the best character in the game, Liu Kang. Now, I made a video almost 4 months ago, maybe 4 months ago now, about this string, and the video is called Liu Kang is Busted. Now, back then, pre-patch Gears existed, pre-patch Sonya, Aaron Black, so there were other characters a lot more stupid than he was, but he was really stupid then. And that's another problem that people don't, a problem that it isn't just the community, it's the developers as well, because they should have fixed Liu Kang in the patch. And I don't mean like they fixed some whiffing issues with everybody, so that helped him. I mean fixed him like, fix this. Like, this shouldn't be what it is. Like, this shouldn't be, it just shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, it just should. I don't need to explain that. You know what that is. If you played this game competitively, especially online, or watched a tournament recently, you know what this is. So, I don't want to get into that. I want to get into tier lists. So, the way most people in the NetherRealm community, this includes the competitive players. So, if you watch, like, Ketchup and Mustard, shout out to them. Their content is amazing. It's really dope. Other players, maybe Sonic Fox or whoever. A lot of people in this community base their tier list placements on what'll work best in a tournament. So, or they base it off tournament results. So, the character they're saying the best, like, they're saying Liu Kang's the best character in the game, right? They're saying you have the best chances to win a tournament, and we have seen the best tournament results from Liu Kang. That's what they're saying. If you're going into a tournament, he's the best character to pick. And based on what we've seen in tournaments so far, he's the best character in the game. That's how they're doing their tier list. If your character, like, let's say Frost, hasn't really been seen in a tournament anywhere, because there are no good Frost players going to tournaments. That's not really a slight to anybody. It's just, like, if you're not a day one Frost, like, Frost is one of the more complicated characters in this game. So if you like been playing her like on the side or something, you probably haven't got enough experience with her to like really do work, and just she's so bad that you have to outplay whoever you're playing against like 2 or 3 times over to get the win. So when you get to a high level, you're not gonna win with Frost. So anyway, we haven't really seen Frost in the tournament. When we have, they didn't make a really big splash, so Frost is lower tier. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how the tier list is going. Like, they're gonna say Collector is bad because nobody in the tournament's using Collector, even though Collector is the most slept on character in the game, and he wasn't as bad as everybody thought before the patch. But I'm just not gonna play his ugly ass. That's all. So the problem with this line of thinking is there's what works in a tournament, and then there's what works practically in the game. So for example, and this is like a way off example, but in Mortal Kombat X, nobody towards the end of the game's lifespan, nobody was saying Liu Kang is the best character in the game. Not a single person. Competitively, they weren't saying, yeah, I think Liu Kang's the best. He's top tier, he's top 2, top 1. But after the game died and we all moved to Injustice 2, and then they started having like little tournaments, and Ninja Killer popped up destroying everybody with Liu Kang and doing shit with Liu Kang that nobody saw before. Everybody was like, holy shit, Liu Kang's the best character in the game. Look what he can do. He can 50% you anywhere, you know what I mean? Like, he can do all this crazy stuff. And that stuff was always in the game. So Liu Kang was always that good. Well, I mean, always, I mean, from like the last patch. So the character was always that good, the potential just hadn't been brought out. If you rely on tournaments to tell you what character is good, then you're relying on the human element of it. When in reality, in a tournament, anybody can beat anybody. I can play the worst character. I mean, we saw pre-patch, a Kodokan player beat Hayate playing Aaron Black, who we all know is top tier. That doesn't mean Kodokan is good. That doesn't mean Kodokan is viable. And that's the way people play it. They'll say, oh, this character is viable. What do you mean? This Kodokan beat this Aaron Black player in the tournament, so he's viable. No, that was a human error. That was lack of matchup knowledge, and that was one person outplaying the other. That doesn't mean the character is good. That means if you can severely outplay your opponent with this character, you can win. And that's the case across the board against every fighting game with every character. So that line of thinking doesn't really make any sense. Like, if you, just to be completely honest about it, it just doesn't, because like by that logic, I can pick the worst character in every game and beat all of the best characters if I outplay the opponent enough times over. So by that logic, every single character in every single game is viable. Even if the character is like 1 HP, if you touch me, I die. Hey, if I outplay you in a tournament, oh shit, I'm viable now. And there's a human element to it, so hey, there's a human that I can beat without getting hit once. I've gotten a flawless victory before. I've gotten double flawlesses before. So wouldn't that make the character viable? So that's my big gripe with that line of thinking. So the way I do tier lists is based off of what the character has. The character's tool set, and that's it. I don't care, like, the only human element I care about in tier list is execution. Like, what's possible for a human to do. So like, I could have say I have an 800% combo, but it's like 7 1-frame links in it. I don't think, you know what I mean? Then in theory, yeah, this character is great, but in practice, who can hit that combo? And if nobody can ever hit it, ever, then, well, it functionally doesn't exist. So that's the only part of it that has to do with people. It's not based on tournaments or tournament results. You can have nobody ever enter a tournament with Gears, and he's still the best character in the game. Yeah. So, yeah, Liu Kang's not the best character in the game, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. It's still Gears. It was Gears before the patch, and it's still Gears. Like, if he touches you once and spins a bar, he can make sure every other combo he does for 1 bar does 400 plus damage, and if he spins another bar, he can do 500 for every single touch. He's still busted. People just aren't doing, like, people aren't doing stuff like comboing in the sand trap yet. Like, I haven't seen that in the tournament yet. I haven't seen anybody do a combo into sand trap, crush and blow, and that's massive damage too. So like, it's just like pre-patch Gears. Everybody was just 4-2-1-2. Like, he has other tools that you guys aren't using, so you guys don't. It's like Liu Kang. Everybody, you know, forward 4 and what's the other string? Back 1-2 or something. Yeah, this one. Back 1-2-3, or just back 1, or 1-2, and if you get hit, 1-2 on plus. You know what I mean? And Liu Kang's got other shit. He's got a low. Ninja Killer uses it. Most other people don't. I'm not saying his other tools are really good, but they exist, you know? So, like, that's something that's, I don't know, that's just something that bothers me, because I think tier lists should be purely based on the character alone. Don't base your tier list on what you have done with the character or what you've seen someone else do with the character, because then you're relying on a human being to do something. Like, and if no human being decides to play Collector, guess what? We don't know how good Collector is. So you can't say he's bad just because nobody has done good with him in a tournament. You know what I mean? It just doesn't. It's not like you can do it, but it won't be accurate. And which is why most tier lists are wrong. Which is why everybody's saying Liu Kang's the best character in the game. No, he isn't. You're just doing tier lists wrong. Now, Liu Kang is stupid. Don't get me wrong. The character's dumb, and he's really good. But he's not the best in the game. Not while Gear still exists. And it's crazy to me that people overlook that. It's just like they take what they do and push that into the game like it's what determines the game. And like, no, that's just what determines the game is what's already in the game. Like, we're not putting things and taking things out of the game. We're not designing the characters. They have what they have. Whether or not we use it or we learn about it or can exploit it, that's what determines, you know what I mean? That's a different story. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna try to just cut this video short. I just want to say, I mean, I think everybody knows pre-patch what the tier list was, who the top tiers were. You know, your Sonyas, your Aaron Blacks, your Jackies, your Cassies. Gears was the best character in the game, obviously. You got low tiers were Kodokan, Frost, Kano, Devora. Shao Kahn was a low tier. He always had a 10 frame mid. He was never low tier, and he always had good damage on fucking crushing blows and shit like that. But anyway, he was bad. He just wasn't like Frost tier. He wasn't Kodokan tier. He was more exaggerated. But yeah, like that's another thing I just want to point out. Shao Kahn has had a 10 frame mid since the game launched. He had a 10 frame mid. Like, Liu Kang's mid's 9 frames. Shao Kahn's is 10 frames. And not too different, right? I mean, granted, his wasn't hit confirmable, but he had the button so he could challenge. But everybody still said he sucked. Frost gets a 10 frame mid, and people are like, no, she's not bad. No. She got buffed. Yo, she is still terrible. Like, I just want to put that in perspective. Character's really bad and still needs buffs. NetherRealm, please fix this character. Like, fix this. Make this. This should be 16 frames. It could be 15 and not be busted, but I'm just saying make it 16. Oh man, I'm not gonna go into a Frost rant again. I do that a lot, but yeah. So if you ever see me make a tier list, my tier list is purely based off what the characters have, not what a person can do with it. Like, I believe if Sonic Fox picked Ice Machine Frost, just based on the fact that he's able to out neutral everybody, he can make top 16. He can do it. Not major. That doesn't make the character good. He just tried to pick up Frostbite Frost, and that is the worst variation in the game. And if he goes to a tournament playing that variation and makes top 16, guess what? It's still the worst variation in the game. He just out-neutraled everybody he ran into. I didn't even get into bracketology and how, if you're a top player, you're a high seed, you can make it through pools without even playing anybody really good, or you might have to play one player that's pretty good at the end of your pool, and then it's win 1 or 2 more games. Oh shit, I'm in top 8 or top 16. So like, you know what I mean? You played like 2 difficult matches and you're in top 16, and that's supposed to tell me a character is good? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. So anyway, just beware of NetherRealm tier lists. Not to say nobody knows what they're talking about, but just, I'd rather people know what they're seeing when they see a tier list. Like, because if you go by this rule that most players are going by, then it won't do anything for you if you're not going to a tournament. It doesn't mean anything for you if you're not traveling to a tournament. It doesn't mean anything online. It means nothing if you're not in a tournament. So if you want to just know who's good to play for fun or to play like an online ranked or whatever, it doesn't do anything for you. It doesn't tell you anything. You get no information out of it. It's for a very specific group of people, and it's inaccurate as far as just the reality of the game. But anyway, I feel like I'm repeating myself. Yeah, man, buff Frost. Subscribe. Leave a comment if you think I'm stupid, or if you like what I said. And to the 10 people that are going to watch this, thank you, and have fun.